Hi, I'm Yaacob Ibrahim. I'm here against my free will, but nonetheless, sorry, I knew. Hi, I'm Yaacob Ibrahim. I'm currently a professor at the Singapore Institute of Technology. I used to be a politician for 23 years with the People Actions Party. I was a minister for 16 years, but I've since retired. After politicians retire from politics, they can say whatever they want. The answer is no. A lot depends on your personal position vis-a-vis the party. People forget that we are in a system where there is party politics. I am a member of a political party, and therefore I have certain loyalties to the party. Where I do have differences of opinion, I can communicate that behind closed doors, so to speak. So I think you cannot say you can say whatever you want, because it means that there's no limit to it. I think there is a limit to it when it comes to issues of national security and so on and so forth.
Have you ever maybe said something that someone within the party gave you a call and said, hey, why you say that?
So far, I've not received a call. But suffice to say that, some people have asked some questions about some things I have written, but, those are my views. People know me. I've not really changed a lot about what I feel about my community, for example, what I feel about my country, and so on and so forth. You think it's inappropriate for migrant workers to congregate at the fields? The answer is no. I think they need the spaces. They need to be able to relax on weekends when they have done their work. The issue has always been, how do they congregate and what kind of disamenities that may be created. When I was a member of parliament, they congregate at the Kallang field beside the Kallang MRT, and we constantly remind them to please don't make too much noise, don't litter the place. I think it's perfectly normal that we must accept them as part of the landscape, but they must also understand that they're coming into a new landscape and how they have to make those adjustments. They cannot assume whatever practices they have from their country of origin can just be integrated without adjustments.
There was a mild controversy last year based on Facebook posts. And I'm sure the phrasing didn't come out as you intended.
No.
What was the thought behind the post of it?
Well, the thought behind the post was really to explain to the wider community that this is a common space that we share between all who are in Singapore, whether you're a foreigner or a Singaporean, and that the request by some of my residents, I won't go into details, to see whether or not the areas can be turfed out for Singaporeans and all that, I thought wasn't the right thing to do. I regret making that post in the way it came out because people misconstrued it. I have nothing against the foreign workers who are here in Singapore, but some people may have misconstrued it as I have some ill intention. That's far from the truth, basically. Wow, this is very big. All retired ministers have a job waiting for them. Not true. I think ministers decide on what they want to do after that. Some would like to continue in some capacity. Some prefer just to take a back seat, evaluate their options and do other things. I'm sort of somewhat a bit of a social butterfly, as my wife likes to call. I like to go out, I like to meet people. So I wanted to go back to a context where I felt comfortable. And I want to go back to my first love, which is the university, which is academia. So I was fortunate enough that SIT gave me this position. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
What did the job application process look like for you?
Well, I'm given the fact that I was a former minister, I suppose it's very odd for me to apply. Certainly, I made a few phone calls, called a few friends. I did sort of submit a formal application. I wrote up a statement, what I'm going to do and so on and so forth, because I thought it should be proper. Wow. Oops, sorry. You still keep in touch with your work colleagues? I do. In the sense that we do have a WhatsApp group, and once in a while I message them. I know some of the ministers. I don't bother them a lot. I know they're very busy. I was there once, So even trying to get a golf game with one of them is like, wow, So once in a while I do send them a message. For example, if I know it's their birthday, I just send a simple birthday wish. I sort of message both ministers, Lawrence Wong and Gan Kim Yong, because they're doing a great job with the COVID thing. You are a liberal Muslim. I like the question because the liberal Muslim is in inverted commas. I don't like labels. I think labels tend to typecast people into little pigeonholes which are quite meaningless. I know I've been sort of called that in many instances. Perhaps because my views are different from the traditional views about my religion. Suffice to say that I'm a practicing Muslim. I pray 5 times a day. Fasting mine is coming, I'll fast. I do my duty to pay my tithes and so on and so forth. But to a large extent, I think how I see myself as a Muslim in Singapore, in a secular country, differs from some other people. Even within the faith, there are differences of opinion among the scholars. If I choose to follow one particular interpretation which is at odds with the mainstream interpretation, that's perfectly normal, because that's what Islam is all about. That diversity of thought is what makes the Islamic religion and Islamic history rich. There were scholars that debated, disagreed with one another. I don't believe one is right and the other one is wrong. I think the vast majority of us are on the right track. But we choose our own path, and I've chosen a certain path which is not necessarily too far away from the mainstream, but I do have certain views which differ from others. That's my position. If that's a liberal, I don't know. I don't know what it means, basically. All politicians are bookworms. I wouldn't say a bookworm in that sense, but I love book. I love the smell of book. Maybe I'm old school. I like to, if you read all the books I've read, you see some things being underlined, some comments and all that. Engineering students cannot find girlfriend. I disagree with that. I was a student of engineering for 4 years in the then University of Singapore. Several of my friends had girlfriends then. I think there's no sort of unique sort of feature or propensity that people stay away from engineering students because you are geeky and so on.
How do you meet your wife?
Well, I met her when I was doing my PhD at Stanford. One of those events that you have in a dorm where they have a party to welcome new students, and I was going around and I saw her and then made a conversation. And then one thing I have to say is that my wife has made a huge sacrifice to come over here to Singapore. She is from the US, and another sacrifice that she made was to quit her job so that she can look after the 2 children. And so I think I owe it to her for whatever success that I may have in my political career, but more importantly, for the things that she has done for the family and for myself. Retired politicians will write a book or 2. I suppose some people feel strongly that they want to leave behind something, their personal experience or experience as a minister, so that people can benefit.
So do you have a book?
I knew you were going to ask that question. Well, there's been a lot of toing and froing among some people that I should write. Given the fact that I got 16 years, the longest ever experience as a minister in charge of Muslim affairs. So I'm not really decided yet. Certainly something that's there at the back of my mind that I have to come around to one day. Yeah.